put your chair back, so it's clear that he isn't taking part in this. Okay, so I'll move, the mover is for 6,000 to go there. All those in favour say aye.
No, Helen, so we've got a motion on the table for 1,500 to Patch and Judy, high 6,000 and nothing for Night Stream. Okay. Then we've got an amendment moved for that of 1,500 for Patch and Judy, high 6,000, I presume, Andre, and 10,000 for Night Stream. So we need to deal with the amendment first.
Okay, so I'll move them separately. So it's up to each board member to make a call on each one as we go through. Patch and Judy Quilts for Charity, 1,500. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Right. Against? Carried. High Broomfield Community Development Trust. We're a recommendation for 6,000. Mover and seconder. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Show of hands.
I'm going to abstain for both. I just can't say yes or no on these.
So shall I go? Show of hands. All those in favour, put up your hands if you're in favour of 6,000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, it's passed. Thank you.
And I'd like to debate also Night Stream School.
Night Stream School. Good. Thank you. So you've moved it and Marie seconded 2,000.
Yep.
So if you want to speak to that, please.
10.
10.
It's a $500,000 project.
Yeah. I mean, she just said 2,000, so I want to.
Hey, some might wish to negotiate me down. You never know. But what I'd put is 10. This is a phenomenal, huge project that Night Stream School's been working on for a very, very, very long time. It's nothing like what you'll see at the existing playgrounds in the area. We're talking a great big climbing adventure park with the tyres and all the good old-fashioned things that the good old parks used to have. This is going to suit the older kids a lot better. Most of the playgrounds are tailored for your younger children. The equipment at nearby playgrounds doesn't necessarily appeal to those pre-teenagers. What we're looking at here is something that is consistent with our board priorities. One of our board priorities is safe spaces for young people in Halswell. This happens to be one of them. It's a $500,000 project. They have various sources of funding. If they're all successful, they're still expected to be left with a significant funding shortfall that they're going to have to fundraise for. Council contribution of $10,000 towards a $500,000 community asset that the entire community will be able to access. It won't just be for the school, it'll be for the entire community that can use it 7 days a week. 10 grand from us for a $500,000 asset is good value in that context. There's also no ongoing costs for council. We don't have to maintain the thing, which is even better. And something we need to factor in here is migrant communities in the area feel very safe at a school. So we want to create safe spaces. This is one that we've got. This is one that is hopefully going to have new infrastructure in it very soon that the entire community will be able to access. So if you endorse our board priorities that we agreed to and you endorse achieving exceptional value and outcomes that these funds are intended for, then I look forward to your support on this.
Can I just clarify, was it 10,000 or 2,000? 10. Okay. So everyone's clear, it's 10,000. Sarah.
What am I allowed to do at this stage?
You can ask, no, we are debating.
Yeah, debate.
So we can talk.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you're clear, it's 10,000. I'd heard it as 2,000 actually. So, okay.
My concern is that I believe the Ministry of Education have put out new regulations around securing the boundaries of schools. And so our school has now got over my head when I'm standing up, about that high fence that is now locked and no one can access the school outside school hours. So I'm concerned that this won't be available if we were to fund it for the community, because as far as I'm aware, the Ministry of Education are going around all schools to implement this new fencing regulation.
I'm not aware of any such plans, and because all the schools have got playgrounds that people are able to access.
Not with a new thing.
In our area at least, I'm not aware of those regulations.
I think it's worth finding out more about that because
Well, they're investing $500,000 in a project with the intention of it being for the community. They wouldn't be doing that if they had to lock the entire area.
I think it's really important that that's clarified because we're the same. We don't want our school locked, but it is now. And it's to do with children that can run away and making the school secure. Yeah.
Their intention is to have it open and available outside of school hours to people. That's the intention of this project. They've applied for funding on that basis.
So if it is locked, then they will probably open it.
They've applied for funding with this intention of use. That's they're literally in their application.
I think it's, I'd be wanting to clarify that.
So they wouldn't be applying on that purpose and reasoning if they have regulation that's about to make them lock the thing. They wouldn't have been applying for it, full stop.
Can I say I probably can't support this in terms of the size of the grant. I think it was 2,000, 3,000. I'll foreshadow a motion that if this is lost, that I'll foreshadow a motion that it's 3,000 granted to the school. So anyone else want to speak?
It is possible to have an area of a school set aside for public use. There are other schools that have got tennis courts, for instance, which they hire out during the for public use, just give them a bit of pocket money. So I think it's possible to do that.
Are they primary schools?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else wish to, Tyler?
He pulled two of my heartstrings here. Yeah. The youth one and the multicultural one. But at the same time, I've been working with a lot of schools, primary schools in particular, and the biggest one that I've been talking to is Templeton Primary School, around having space for young people to play and be themselves after school. And Nick, the principal there, is a part of a network of principals who have that incentive of wanting kids to stay at school so they're safe, and using that as a place to be themselves. So I'm having a really hard time here. 10,000 feels like a fair bit. But at the same time, schools are now becoming social hubs for the community, particularly primary schools. And I'm seeing this all the time in my portfolio for youth, is schools are now becoming the new playgrounds. Councils are becoming inadequate. Council playgrounds are becoming inadequate, and schools are now becoming social hubs for our city. I'm not sure if I can support 10. It's a considerable amount. I would have been sitting even then around 5. But just noting that I do fully support our schools being utilised more, particularly with Nightstream having the intention of bringing everyone on board. The Board of Trustees have a huge mandate around who can access and who cannot access their schools, and you'll see that on signs all around Christchurch, around do not enter the school, Board of Trustees, whatever school's name it is. So in light of that, I will support this, but I cannot support the 10,000. So I would be open to a recommendation of either Helen's foreshadowed motion or an amendment of that 10 to a 5, but that's where I sit.
Thank you. And my foreshadowed motion is 3,000. So I can move that. If this one is lost, we can then put mine on the table and we can have a debate about 3,000. Andre?
Well, could I just use my right of reply?
Absolutely. But I've got Mark who wants to speak as well. Yeah. So we are speaking at this.
Yes. I guess I must acknowledge the previous past resolution, so thank you for your support on that. But this one, I'm finding it tough to support. And the thought that's in my mind on this one is that 10,000 is a really large chunk of our rather meagre-sized DRF. I wonder, and Jess and the team might be able to offer some advice around this, I'm not sure, whether this Nightstream school adventure playground might be better sort of pushed back and deferred into our better off funding discussions that we're looking at workshopping next month. And whether this could be a classic example of a great project to put into that better off funding space and might utilise that funding rather than cannibalise what little we do have in our DRF.
We can certainly do that. That would fall under that category and criteria as well. We could also let this lie on the table until we get Ministry of Education advice around what Sarah suggested.
Yeah.
And thank you, Mark. It could go into better off funding potentially, in which case we don't have quite the same concerns, I think. Thank you, Sarah.
Am I allowed to go again?
Yes.
Because the other concern I have is that
No, but go
I'm
on.
sorry, I'm being a bit lax.
if it was vandalised or if there were any issues with security, then they'll not let anyone in outside the hours as well. Well, as far as I'm aware with the Ministry of Education. And so that might be worth looking into as well around,
So, Andre, are you comfortable with it lying on the table?
No, so
No.
we do have the Better Off Fund, and that's an important reminder. This year is unique in that our discretionary response fund is lower. This year is also unique in that we have the
Better Off Fund.
The Better Off Fund this
We do.
year. To take a different approach on the third line to the second one makes little sense. It would make little sense to say to the third one, that should be better off, but the above one should be discretionary response fund. What's the actual difference here? So if the third one should be better off funding, then so should the one above
it's
it.
Ministry of Education land.
It's the criteria of better off funding, and also considering that that Community Development Trust also received $35,000 in funding this evening, which has been approved. The kitchen renovation does not fall under the better off funding criteria.
Whereas the playground definitely does.
Okay, so it could go as better off funding. So at the end of the day, we may as well crack on with it, in my view. We still have got better off funding there. I don't see the point in us delaying this to then look from another fund. It just delays the process. It just adds bureaucracy, in my view. But I am happy to adjust the proposed amount to 6,000, which is the same as the amount above.
So who was the seconder?
Marie.
Marie, are you comfortable
with
with
that?
6,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's you're amending your own motion to
Yes.
6,000 now. Yep.
That's right.
Thank you.
And can I I remember something that Gary Moore's me said, that funding rounds are not a science. So if anyone's concerned at our sort of flexibility or lack of consistency, this is always quite tricky, and it's not a science. It's subjective judgments, basically.
Yeah, but in comparison to many other decisions we've made, to look at this and say that 6 is a huge amount in comparison to other things we've been doing, I don't agree.
But there's also staff recommendation and justification for that amount to consider.
Totally understand.
Okay.
Totally understand.
So you've got Andres and Marie have moved it to 6,000. I've still got a foreshadowed motion there of 3,000. So I'll put the 6,000. Oh, Mark.
Yeah, I might as well foreshadow another amendment beyond your 3,000.
Okay.
That we defer it to the better off funding. Should they?
Okay.
Be lost.
And I'd be comfortable with that too, right? Yeah.
Well,
So,
they've made an
but we
application.
are moving the 6,000. I'm correct there, technically, aren't I?
So the
We have-
motion on the table is for a grant of $6,000 to
Yes.
Night Stream. It's moved and seconded.
Thank you. And a foreshadowed motion of 3,000 from myself and Mark, possibly with another foreshadowed motion, not Mark, yes, Mark Peters, with a foreshadowed motion of moving the issue to better off funding. But those are foreshadowed depending on the actual vote here. So I'm going to put the resolution of 6,000. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against?
No.
No.
No. A show of hands for yes. And against? So
Abstention.
the abstention, so the
Motion is
noes have it. And on the table now is I'll move my resolution of 3,000. Have I got a seconder for that? I don't have to. So no, it lapses through want of the seconder. put Mark's resolution on the table that this request go to better off funding?
So
Need a seconder for that.
Yeah, so Mark,
but you need to resolve, so they made an application to this fund, so that needs to be resolved, I think.
So I think in this case, this application would need to be declined.
Yes.
And then the board will go through the normal workshop process and consider this during the workshop process. Then it would make an application and a formal report to the board.
Yes, the school basically has to start from
Okay.
scratch now. So
Okay.
a whole lot of extra bureaucracy.
so
In that case, we don't need anything, so this has been
No.
declined.
Straight up to
Yeah,
find
yeah.
it.
Yes,
Straight
yeah,
up.
okay. But there's a general understanding, I think, that
Well, has it, so the motion for a grant has been lost. Do we need to approve a decline? Just send it
No,
back off.
no, it was recommended by staff, 0.
Yeah.
I'm right, aren't I? So therefore it's,
Recommendation was-
we had an amendment.
Needs to.
Yeah. No, that's fine. So unless, aren't you comfortable with that, Pay?
No.
Yeah, well, yeah, the way we did it, we actually we had a mover and a seconder for each of the three things.
That's right.
secondly. So the motion that was put was Andre's, that was lost, and you didn't foreshadow. So I just think we haven't got anything for them.
So someone.
Is that automatically a decline?
Someone needs, I think,
I
to
think-
move and second the third resolution.
As a staff recommendation, I
staff
think so,
recommendation,
just
yep.
for tidiness.
Okay, who wants to actually move that?
Kamal?
Gamal and seconded Mark. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against?
No.
No. Are you wanting your vote recorded?
Yep.
Yes. Am I right? Yes.
And me, abstention.
Abstention from Tyler? Wow, thank you.
So
I don't like that at all.
No, neither.
I don't like it either.
Look, it will come back.
The cherry.
It will come back. Thank you very much, staff, for all your work.
Do this
Thank you.
every meeting and move.
And thank you, Bailey and
We'll do this. We'll
Marie, for
vote
helping
against this.
on
Vote
Tuesday.
against a literal youth worker for the whole community hub. Do you remember that? So I remember that.
Now, elected,
It's always the same.
Yeah.
It's continual.
the board area report
Same
item
meeting, all people
13.
read and move on extra stuff. The whole
Now, I do,
Then it comes to-
we're
always when it comes to-
struggling for time.
Needs to speak with us.
Can I just hold fire
I'm
on
saying
that?
this with respect.
Do you want to
We're
take a comment?
struggling for time.
And we'll-
So the
I'll give you
area
examples.
report. Yes, you wanting to take
I'm
that
happy to take that as read.
as read? Mark,
Could I just point out a quick amendment in there? Some good news. The hydrotherapy funding is now over 1.1 million. So instead of 700,000 as it's stated in the report, we've actually been given a $400,000 grant from NZCT. And last I heard last night from the president of Rotary, it was sitting around about 1.17 million is that fundraising. So good news.
wow, thank you. Now we're area report still. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I've got a question actually. It might not work within the recommendations here, but that someone with your neighbour's closing date doesn't make sense to me. And at some point, I'd like for the board to just revisit this, because closing it on 11th of August for us to be able to deliver a barbecue in the middle of summer seems a little bit.
It's a long way off.
That's the centrally decided timeframe.
So that's why I'd say that the board recommends that we change the date.
The board will have to provide its feedback to. Yeah.
Exactly.
I
I
think,
don't know if it'll be in this as a recommendation, but I'm saying I just want it noted.
yes, thank
That
you.
I'd like that revisited.
I kind of
And
agree.
I'm putting it through the own office.
Yeah.
I kind of agree.
It seems a bit silly to me.
Thank you. Because people are really in winter mode, aren't they?
Yeah, you don't know when you want to have a barbecue in the middle of December while you're sitting in the middle of July. So
July, yes.
it's,
No, I agree.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Anything else? So who would like to move the report? Mark, seconded Marie. Mark moves, seconded Marie. All those in favour say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Now, just before we get on to elected members exchange, Faye has kindly put down some consultation issues that I'd like some feedback on. The outdoor dining policy and the draft naming policy of roads. Do you, as a board, want to do submissions on that? My view is that I think we've done enough submissions, but if someone's keen first of all, the outdoor dining policy. Is anyone keen for the board to actually do a submission on it?
I just would want to have more time to review this because the deadline's until, I mean, not until end of the month
End of the month.
anyway. So,
So we'll just hold that pending.
yeah,
And the naming policy,
same.
the same thing. Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
lies on the table. And thank you. What matters most campaign and display at the Hornby Library is scheduled on the 11th to 12th of August. That's just come through recently. I understand from staff, there's probably no staff present.
Well, I'm not sure, to be
You're
honest, I'm
unsure?
not sure whether
Right.
there will be staff there or
Would you be
not.
able to find out? And
Yes, I
Yes.
will.
The one on Friday is still on
Yes,
in Westfield?
tomorrow evening, 5 p.m.
Oh, tomorrow, yeah,
Okay.
tomorrow.
who's going at 5 o'clock tomorrow? 1, 2, 3.
I'll be there at some stage. I don't know.
At some stage.
Yeah.
Good.
Might drop in.
Thank you. Now, we're going to be limited if we want to get away on elected members' information exchange. So perhaps if I could just ask people to bring up any issue that needs urgent attention, I think. So just anything, any action that you want that's urgent. Mark?
I guess one really urgent one, Matariki Fun Day is coming up on August the 19th. So that's Saturday week at the South Hornby School in conjunction with the Hornby Indoor Market. So you're all welcome to come along and attend that. It's a big day on the Hornby calendar. It's been deferred since Matariki because of weather. So please, if the weather's good, get along and support the Hornby residents.
That's information.
Information, yep. Action, de Havilland Street in Hornby. I've had a resident talk to me a couple of times now about speeding on that street. So could we potentially request for some checks to be done by staff and advice offered around that? That would be useful. Another one out of Templeton Residents Association, we're talking about whether there could be consideration given to a pedestrian crossing on Jones Road in the Globe Bay area. Trying to get across the road between the bus stops to and from town is a little bit dangerous on there. So if we could have some advice from staff.
I think we've
Pedestrian
had that before,
Yep.
a while ago.
So
5
on
years or so
Jones
ago.
Road in the vicinity of Globe Road, is it?
Globe Bay,
Oh, Globe Bay, sorry.
that would be useful. And finally, Waipuna Courts. We were in the hub just yesterday and had a gentleman talk to us about continually blocked drains in the OCHT houses of Waipuna Courts. So whether that's something we could refer to OCHT for someone to look at, because this gentleman was suggesting that the drains were being unblocked on an extremely regular basis. So whether there's some problems with the drains there. That to OCHT.
So are you wanting us to send an email to
Or just to
the trust,
advise the trust
advise the trust?
that a resident has raised this with us.
Good, thank you. Anything sharp? Anything else? Yes, Tyler.
Just putting it in this so it can be actioned. Faye is obviously going back to that barbecue with your neighbours event. Just writing that down.
Thank you.
The second one is, again, social housing. And I would like more information on how residents are surveyed. I've had 5 residents so far talk to me about unruly neighbours. And the selection process within that. To my understanding, it's KO that do the selection, but there are some neighbours that are living alone and elderly that don't feel safe.
For which complex?
We've of course one, but there's another one in the Harrington area. I keep forgetting what it's called. That's a big issue. And I'd love not a report, but a memo on the amount of, well, first of all, on the maintenance of Riccarton, getting that written down again.
Yes.
But also an update of the CLRs. That's pretty much it. It's just really basic action points, really, just getting updated and everything.
Thank you. Andre?
I've just got a couple of images to go with it.
Yeah.
But the
Are they action issues?
one's info, the other's action, the other's info, the other's action, the
Start
other's
with the
action.
info and then move on to action.
This one's action. This is Cars Road, where rubbish does continually get dumped and a few untoward activities go on. We've been given advice that this part of Cars Road is going to be fenced off. We're just trying to clarify when that might occur and that it's still on track.
Thank you. That's Cars Road.
So we
You get so many of those Norths away. All the dump runs, eh?
Like you in Roberts Road last week, a boat.
Terrible.
A boat, did you say?
A boat.
Well,
Where is it? Oh,
In Roberts Road, mate.
If it's going
well,
to,
if we've got a boat, they can dump it in my yard. I can do it. One
yeah,
of
tell me
those.
about it.
We've potentially got an envelope with an address from this dumped rubbish, so we might know who it's from, but you never know because the date's quite old on it.
So we just want staff advice on a proposal for fencing off an area.
Yeah, like we've been told it's underway. It'd just be good to
Progress
clarify.
with, progress with the proposal. Yep.
We're going to stop the dumping.
There's another couple of images.
Transfer station.
Oh yes, Cashmere Road. Just a bit of an update from last time. So this is the road with no footpath, and behind there is, well, ultimately hundreds of new homes. And this is their footpath to get to the quarry. As you can see, there's no footpath on the left. There's a cyclist, there's a pedestrian, there's a car, there's a blind turn. It's never going to end well. So there's a near miss there. If you show up there for 5 minutes, you'll see something like this. Within as little as 5 minutes. And the grass you see on the left, most of it has gone through winter and there's been some work go on. So it's actually less safe than when this photo was taken. So just as an update, hoping this will be a long-term planned project.
Yes.
That is where we're at currently. It's not going to be an easy project.
So
particularly with the
next,
power
go out
lines.
of the
This one's info.
Yep.
This
Okay,
one's
sorry.
info. Yep.
Is this in our ward?
This is in the Halswell ward.
Or
Yep. Yep.
Head of the Cashmere.
So of course, hundreds of new homes, development contributions are paid, but there's no responsibility to put a footpath in here. But all the development contributions that are being paid in the area, aren't necessarily ring fenced to the area. So there's money there, but we'll have to battle in the long-term plan to get something going here, which we will do. There might just be one more photo, maybe two. Yes. Now, the What Matters Most engagement, which we've been doing at the library, has been inspiring our young ones. As we can see here, it has inspired 11-year-old of our community to set up a voting system here to pick his next Lego build. So full credit to the engagement team on putting this work together because it's been going really, really well and inspiring many, as we can see here. As you will see below, the winning Lego build was the guitar option.
I just want to give a big shout out to Marie, who has done all of the engagement props and setup and boards.
Yeah.
That has just been phenomenal. So that's all been Marie.
So shout out to
That.
Marie. Thank you, Marie. And just that there's the traffic island on Sparks Road. It hasn't been there for too long. It's between Collier and Henderson's Road by the wetlands entrance. It's been run into twice. We're just hoping to find out if it can be maybe have some visibility added at night as there's a reflective something they can add on that might be useful. I don't know, but maybe that will help. And last but not least, when the bins got removed at Halswell Domain, they went from 6 bins to 1 bin. As a result, there's a lot of litter all the time, all over the place. So Halswell Domain is big enough and busy enough, I think, to warrant a second, potentially even third smart bin. It is needed. And someone from the Hood Attorney Student Council this morning has informed me of at Te Kahu Park, there's just 1 bin that it doesn't have a lid on it, which is apparently causing some issues.
So it's Halswell Park.
So Halswell Domain.
Halswell Domain.
So this is an action. We're asking for an additional smart bin to be installed at Halswell Domain.
Halswell Domain,
Yep.
yeah. To be honest, 2.
Bin or 2.
1 by the old demolished league club rooms, 1 by the football club
The
rooms.
installation of additional bins.
Yeah, they're separate areas.
Yeah, and
Aren't
they're quite busy.
so busy. So Rod Hickling, who we gave a community service award the other night, that day he'd spent 3 hours picking up rubbish around the place. So
What a legend.
He is a legend and well deserving of community service. Well, he's also deserving of a new bin or two in their hood. And just the other one was Takahu Park. That might not need one of those bigger bins, but it does sound like it needs something, or at the very least a lid on the current bin, is what I'm hearing from our very proactive Hood Attending Student Councillor.
Good.
And that's all from me. Thank you.
You know, watching my clock, my watch, we've got 5 minutes. Marie and then Hank, very briefly.
Very briefly, this is just me. I'm following up. I will always follow up. If there's been any feedback on the request for staff to look into the flooding in front of the medical center in Ensign Street. We still haven't heard.
Nobody's come back, no.
And also the letter that was supposed to go to ECAN about the lack of public transport in Halswell.
That's right.
So I can confirm that I sent an email to.
Yes, you said you
other
did send
staff
an
people, yeah.
email to staff and they didn't
Didn't
respond.
respond,
So
sorry.
we were going to send a letter
Board, yes, we were.
as a board.
And we'll send it to the CE and the chairman.
That was
The
in the
chairperson.
last meeting.
Blow that up.
And our local council.
I think it's important it goes in the
Yeah.
senior.
Hopefully got a movement on that, but watch the space.
Yeah.
But the letter will still be,
Yeah, it was
still be good.
just to
Still
advocate for that.
100%.
Good, thank you. Hank?
Yeah, just to say thank you to our staff and council and Mark in particular. We had a problem at 126 and trying to cross the new cycleway and the tar seal replacement. The policy of the council set an impossible target. But thanks to Mark and some fancy footwork and talking, we can now get on with the job. Not only that, but the people who do the work, the council people and the contractors have come to an arrangement where they can, where instead of having the same policy for new cycleways as and old footpaths, and they can now move much faster. So instead of a 3-month waiting gap, it can be done over the phone. So well done to Mark and the council and the council staff who were involved in a very what was a pretty insurmountable problem. Has not only fixed our problem, but for other contractors as well to move considerably faster.
Okay,
So
thank
it's
you.
well done.
For context on that, they were
I've got
looking
a
at
couple of issues which can wait till next month. So I'm just about to finish meeting. So we'll have our karakia and then the meeting's closed. And then if there's any further discussion, we can have, if people wish to have further discussion. There's also, no, I'll say it offline actually. So we'll move to the karakia. Thank